Well, the Metasage channel has reached another noteworthy milestone. Today marks the 10-year anniversary of the creation of the Metasage channel. October 4th, 2008 to October 4th, 2018. 10 years of content creation. Can you imagine that? A decade of Metasage. Impressive, considering those 10 years were only a prologue to my toil here on planet Earth. Yes, my whole life has been a preparation for becoming the old man. And this anniversary marks the beginning of that phase, which gets underway starting right now. So, a little 10th anniversary treat from the Metasage. So we've all heard about the meaning of life, but I think we've already pretty much solidly determined that meaning isn't something being supplied by objective factors. So the question about the meaning of life is largely moot. A meaning can be subjectively supplied, which means meaning is, at best, variable. If variable, then there isn't any one answer to the meaning of life. Or is there? What if the question of the meaning of life could better be defined from meta-awareness? Is that at all possible? Perhaps. Which brings us to the larger question of, what's the purpose of life? Can there be a purpose for existential manifestations? And if we can figure out the existential purpose, will this perhaps shed some light on the long elusive meaning of life that by all appearances seems to not have any one answer? When we talk about the meaning of life as it pertains to different dream characters, we can clearly discern the relative subjective application of meaning. But this is only because we have an identification that has become stuck on the dream character. Meaning, in this case, is localized. It isn't ubiquitous, so it doesn't make any sense to try to figure out a generalized meaning that pertains to a dream character. None such exists. A dream character is a contrivance, so it doesn't ultimately have any objective meaning. But a dream character definitely has a purpose, the least of which is to ponder the meaning of its own alleged existence. Yet, a dream character's personal meaning doesn't answer the larger question of, what is the purpose of having dream characters that have the ability to create varying personal meanings? Is it to slay the dragon and save the princess? Well, again, personal. Even a devotion to serve the one true God would be a personal purpose. I'm not asking you what your personal purpose is. It isn't at all relevant what goals you have set for yourself. I'm asking you, what's the purpose of existential manifestation? Is it whichever vacuum winds up with the most overstuffed bag wins? I should hope not. But even if so, even a living vacuum is fulfilling its underlying purpose, which is experience. It's all about experience. You can't say much about existence with any real certainty without assuming a whole lot. But one thing that can be said with certainty, what we call existence, is an apparent experience. So, at the very least, it can be affirmed with certainty that life, or existential manifestation, is a medium of experience. To which some of you might say that you don't have to have experiences in order to live a life, and that one could just as easily sit in a room their whole lives doing nothing, which would thereby undermine the proposed premise that the purpose of life is to have experiences. To which I, of course, in response, will gladly call bullshit on, as to even sit in a room for one's entire life doing nothing is still an experience nonetheless. what is such a conceptual proposition attempting to be anyway? Is this a bit of literalist realism? Don't confuse your concepts about reality with the objects of reality. They are two very different non-things. Don't try to overthink it, because then you lose it. It's the same type of bullshit thinking that has you convinced that there are two different aspects of existence, mental and the physical, conveniently overlooking the fact that physicality is contextually conveyed and sustained through a mental medium. Oh yeah, we forgot about that. So as much as you'd like to objectify reality to be beyond the mind, the fact remains reality is a direct product of the mind. And what mind-dependent reality produces is an illusion of an individuated experience. Hence, no matter what a dream character is doing, it is an experience. Even if a dream character is comatose, it is still an experience. Even if only completely in the subconscious, or even only deeply in the unconscious, it's still an experience. And having a missing gap of time isn't an absence of experience. The missing gap of time itself being an experience of having missing memories of past experiences. So, existentially, there is always ever experience happening. Anything else proposed to be going on is just an idea, and does nothing to make existence any less of an experiential-based medium. So does this mean empiricism trumps a priori? Basically, yes. Empiricism is the theory that all knowledge is derived from sense perception. A priori is the theory that knowledge proceeds theoretical deduction rather than from observation or experience. In my mind, a priori is pretty much a fantasy. Perhaps there can be a priori after a consciousness has become established in a fixed learning position, such as knowledge gained from reading a book. But a priori knowledge would be impossible before a consciousness established itself. Let's say, for an example, albeit an extreme one, that you birthed a baby into the dark and kept that baby in the dark indefinitely with no sensory information or any other type of stimulus. Do you really think that baby would grow up with any a priori knowledge? I think not. If anything, the baby would grow up to be virtually an instinctual animal. Not that that's a bad thing, I'm just saying. So there is no knowledge that isn't fundamentally based in experience. And to specifically define what we're talking about when we say experience, we are referring to the impressions established through sensory information. There isn't any knowledge that doesn't have as its basis experiential sensory perceptions, which serve as the context of any knowledge base. You can't even learn the language that will serve as the syntax of the knowledge without first undergoing experience. So, there you have it. The purpose of life is to produce experiences, which means the meaning of life is that life is meaningless. If anything, the meaning is to find a purpose. And the purpose is already inherent the moment an existence manifests. Agree? Disagree? Comment below. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed these last 10 years. And here's to 10 more. May the future continue to bring many great things. Love and regards, the Metasage. Wait for it. Yeah, Chaler.